Developing now, an incident at Adventure Landing in Jacksonville Beach this afternoon sent a number of people to the hospital with breathing problems. First Coast News' Lana Harris joins us live from outside the amusement park with more tonight. Lana?
Yeah, Jeff, so whatever happened must have wrapped up relatively quickly because the park has been open since around 3:30 when I got here, and you can see there are people out there right now waiting on water rides. But we talked to a viewer who told us that they did not want to be identified, but said that just before 2 o'clock today, people were told to get out of the lazy river and go inside. They said that ambulances came and transported people away, and that park employees told everyone they were closing because of lightning in the area. A viewer said that they're concerned that if there was some sort of chemical issue that could lead to breathing issues, their customers need to know about it. We called JFRD and they confirmed that something did happen, that they got a call around 1:50 in reference to a possible inhalation of chlorine, although they themselves haven't confirmed what chemical, if any chemical, it might have been. Now, JFRD says they did transport a couple of people, a couple of patients with breathing problems, but I wasn't told how many or what ages. Now, we did call Adventure Landing. We were told by an employee that the park is fine. I asked if there was an incident earlier today. I was told not really, and that the park was only closed for a while today because of storm-related issues. Now, we are waiting to hear well, I should say because of a storm, not storm-related issues, but because of a storm. Now, we will bring you more details as we get them. We are waiting to hear back from some representatives from Adventure Landing, and we'll bring that to you on air and online. For now, here in Jacksonville, I'm Lana Harris, First Coast News on your side.